I've covered a lot of teams in the NBA and some small markets, some big markets, but I do have to say that the Utah Jazz do not get talked about a lot. Now in the Phoenix Suns case, you can make the argument, oh, they were terrible for years on end and only recently have they been really good. And when I mean recently, I mean literally like a year ago. Meanwhile, the Utah Jazz have been a pretty good ball club for a while and they don't get talked about. They have the superstar in Donovan Mitchell, they have the great second player in Rudy Gobert. They have the talent, they have players like Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson and other guys on their roster that are able to help that team win. And this team is oddly one of the top seeds in the Western Conference, yet no one ever talks about them or gives them credit. And as the biggest person when it comes to talking about small markets in the NBA, in my opinion, I feel like I'm entitled to talk about them. So in this video, I want to talk about why the NBA media does not talk about the Utah Jazz and why the NBA media likes to ignore this team like they're not always one of the top seeds in the Western Conference. Of course, before I do get into this video, if you guys could leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new with notifications on. I'm trying to hit 5,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, and your subscription would greatly appreciated. Let's get into the video. Now, before I get into this, I do want to clarify something when I say small market. See, there's two different types of small markets that people are getting confused. There's small markets like in the real world, and then there's NBA small markets. For example, Phoenix/Arizona is a really big market. It's a really popular city. A lot of people are starting to move here and it's overall a popping area. However, the Phoenix Suns are not a popular market team according to basketball standards. And to be fair, when it comes to big market NBA teams, there's really about 5, and those go with teams like the Lakers, the Celtics, the Bulls. You probably know who I'm talking about. So when I say the Jazz are a small market NBA team, is Utah a small market city? I really don't know. According to most people, the Utah Jazz are not a big market NBA team. However, according to like living prices, apparently Utah is a really expensive place to live in, so I guess that means that it's an expensive market. I don't know, maybe I'm using the term wrong, but to be fair, I'm not, someone that's into real estate. I'm an NBA YouTuber. Currently in the NBA, according to records, there are two really good teams in the NBA that I feel like that separate from everyone, especially in the Western Conference, which is the Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors, with the Phoenix Suns having the 1 seed and the Warriors having the 2 seed. However, only 4 games back away from the Phoenix Suns is the Utah Jazz. So when it comes to a lot of people, including myself, I feel like we have the Warriors and the Suns and I guess the Nets. Then you have like this bubble of the 3 best teams in the NBA while everyone else is just trying to make it. And guys, I'm literally going off standings, but to be fair, I do think that these are the 3 best teams in the NBA right now, especially with Kyrie Irving making his return. Now granted, their seed might go down just because all of their players are in health and safety protocol right now, but I do believe at the end of the season that eventually we're gonna see like, okay, this is where everyone stands. I think for the most part, the Suns and Warriors will be fighting for the number 1 seed. I think the Nets will also end as the 1 seed. However, very sneakily, there's a chance that the Jazz could pass the Warriors for the 2nd seed and maybe even the Suns for the 1st. Now, a point that I made last year when it came to the NBA playoffs, when a lot of people said, oh, the Phoenix Suns run was fraudulent, I said that they were only 1 game away from the number 1 seed. And you want to know who stole the number 1 seed from the Phoenix Suns? Yup, the Utah Jazz, who no one even considered to be a possible team to win the whole thing. Now, I'm not saying that if you are the 1 seed, oh, you're guaranteed an NBA championship, you're really good. There are 1 seeds that it's like, how are you the 1 seed? However, I don't think Utah is one of those teams. In fact, I think they fully did deserve the 1 seed last year, and if the Suns weren't doing as well, I think they would have it this year. Of course, I'm not saying the Jazz are better than the Warriors and the Suns, so if the Phoenix Suns, who are the best team in basketball right now, are not getting any media attention, you think the Jazz are? Which I think is so dumb to me, because a lot of the teams that, first taken all these shows would talk about, like the Lakers, the Nets, who they can't really talk about because of all their players in protocol, the Warriors, who have been the most popular team because Steph's been going off and they're breaking records and Clay's supposed to return. And if we're on first take, then Stephen A. Smith is going to talk about the New York Knicks, who I don't even know why we're talking about them right now. See, that's an example of a big market team that does not deserve to be talked about because they're playing like ass. However, I get stories and news, like let's say, okay, the Kemba Walker situation where he was out of the rotation. Let's talk about that. Or maybe all these outbreaks and we're like, okay, we have to talk about a certain team because their team has an outbreak. Like the Nets just had a big ass outbreak. So obviously, yes, let's talk about that. I think that's very important. But for the love of God, we do not need to talk about the Lakers right now. Let's talk about teams that are actually good, and we don't even have to make stories. We can literally just talk about the game before, or even not just news things, but when we're talking about who are the best teams in the West, let's bring up the Jazz. I'm not telling you they're the best team in the NBA, but I think we need to at least consider them as a playoff contender to possibly win the West. Now, a comment that someone made in the last video about the Phoenix Suns getting ignored is someone said that it could possibly be because of the owner, because the owner is going through a lot of controversies right now, and I didn't really think that was a factor, but it honestly could be. But the Jazz don't have any problems going on right now. To be honest, you don't hear a lot of like news or problems going on with this team. They just play pure good basketball. Rudy Gobert, in my opinion, is way different from a lot of NBA centers because him and DeAndre Ayton are the last of a dying breed, which is the traditional NBA center. And if you don't know what that is, I do plan on making a video talking about why DeAndre Ayton and Rudy Gobert are the last of a dying breed. If you guys would like to see that video, then make sure you do subscribe and let me know in the comment section below. And to be honest, Rudy Gobert isn't a flashy player, and nor is Joe Ingles and some of the other guys on their roster. But if I'm being honest, I feel like it's just beautiful, pure basketball that Dr. Naismith made. I said this in the last video and I'm gonna say this again. I understand why these media outlets, they don't talk about these teams because they're not flashy enough or they're not that spectacular to watch according to them. However, I think that there's personally a lot more basketball fans, not just NBA fans, basketball fans in general who love the sport itself. And a lot of basketball fans would probably tell you that the Utah Jazz are a pretty good team. And if it wasn't for them being on a 2-game losing streak, they're literally right there with the Suns and Warriors. On top of that, they're able to beat some of the best teams in the NBA when they need to. Meanwhile, a lot of people would say that, oh, the Warriors and the Suns had easy schedules, which, like I've said before in a video, I don't think schedules matter. You're going to play every single team the same amount of times you would every single season. So strength of schedule, in my opinion, does not matter in the NBA like it would in the NFL. Because in the NFL, number one, you have 17 games now, but you also don't play the same teams every year. Obviously, you play your division, but you don't play the same teams from other conferences or your conference. And your schedule could really determine how well you're going to do that season. So if it came out that the Bucks had the easiest schedule this season and they went to go like 15-2, then we would all be like, okay, they're one of the best teams, they're getting the easy schedule, maybe we should look at them as frauds. Of course, I don't look at sports that way, and I don't think you guys should, but regardless, I'm just saying it from the public eye. The point I'm trying to make is that strength of schedule does not matter, and the Utah Jazz, if they win 60 games, they win 60 games, which I think should tell a lot about a team. As I've said this whole video, they have the talent, they have the superstar, they're a fun team to watch if you actually like basketball, but they're a small market NBA team, guys, so of course the NBA media and a lot of NBA YouTubers even aren't even going to talk about them unless there's news. And unless it's on ESPN's front page, they're probably not even going to talk about it. However, I don't do that. I talk about all the markets, big, medium, small, large. It's a whole Starbucks menu over here. And with that being said, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you do leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you are new with notifications on. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Have an amazing day. Take care. Cue the outro.